director of Kickflips Over Occupation, Maen Hammad. We are honored to have him here and would like to thank him for traveling all the way from Washington, D.C. to attend our festival. Maen is a West Bank-born, American-raised independent filmmaker, student, and skateboarder. Maen spent 8 months in the West Bank documenting the skateboard scene in Palestine and created his first short documentary, Kickflips Over Occupation. Maen is currently a master's candidate at George Washington University, where he is studying international affairs. We are honored to have Maen here today with us for a Q&A. Please give a warm welcome to Maen Hammad. So first, I'm going to ask a couple questions on the behalf of the organizing committee, and then we're going to open up the floor to the audience to ask some questions. So there's Rich over there and Sarah over there. They have some microphones, so just line up behind them if you have any questions. Okay, so first I want to ask you, what brought you to the West Bank and what motivated you to make this film in the West Bank?
First, I want to thank everybody for coming out. This is awesome. So after I graduated undergrad, I went to Jersey University to take an Arabic program. And I brought my skateboard with me. And I had no intentions of meeting Palestinian skateboarders. I had no idea there was a lively skate scene. And I ended up stumbling across 4 Palestinian skaters randomly. So I instantly befriended them, and they were like 16, so I was hanging out with like 16-year-olds for the whole summer. I got their number, and we kept skating, and they kept mentioning Skate Pal, this organization that's helping them get skateboards, and they're building these skate parks, and I was like, I need to be a part of this. So I came back, because I had no intention of staying that long, and I'm not a filmmaker until I started making this. So I came back to Michigan and prepared myself to come back and actually sit down and make this project. So I guess the 4 random skateboarders that I stumbled upon at Piers 8 were the push to make this documentary, and it kind of just expanded from there. I ended up meeting all these different skaters and traveling to all these different places, and it was awesome.
Great. All right, and can you talk a little bit about the filming process of making this movie?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, I studied political science. I didn't have a filmmaking background at all. We used to make skate films as a kid and teenagers, like in my neighborhood, so I had very rudimentary filming experience. But I had the idea, so I knew that the idea was going to be much more powerful than any sort of high-tech filming or editing or anything along those lines. So I just knew I needed a camera, and I'm like, I ended up saving enough money while I was back in Michigan before I ended up departing again. And within the 6 months that I was there, I kind of just learned how to make a film. I ended up filming throughout the entire time, so I kind of just kept adding on to it, editing it, and then by the end of it, I had the project. So it was going to end up being a 5-minute project, and then I ended up having too much filming, so I had to make it kind of this structured 23-minute film.
Okay, thank you. So we're going to open up this panel to the audience, so line up if you have any questions.
I thought it was fantastic, but I wondered, what about the girls? I saw a couple of really young girls who looked like they were just being introduced to sitting on the skateboard, and I didn't see any girls anymore. So I wondered, is it such a small number so far that are participating that it hasn't really reached out to the teen girls and older, or is it that the girls are not allowed to participate for cultural reasons?
So in some of the skate parks that were shown, the one that you saw the little girl skating in the very colorful skate park, that's in Bethlehem. So that's an at-risk shelter for orphans and at-risk youth. The girls there they have the equal skating time as the boys, so in that skate park it's actually split. The international volunteers have a class with the girls and a class with the guys, and it ranges from 5 years old to like 14 years old. So for them it's 50-50, and honestly some of the girls are a lot better than the guys, and they're bossier than the guys, which is awesome. So if it's a girl's skateboarding time, they'll yell at the guys like, "Inshift, like get out of here, it's our turn." in terms of the skaters that I was interviewing, so those were the core skaters that I met that aren't skateboarding through an organization. So they're the ones that randomly stumbled upon a skateboard and are kind of doing it on their own. Unfortunately, there's no girls out of those 10 that I met. But in the organizations, like the ones in Skate Pal and the ones in the SOS Children's Village, the classes themselves are structured around including both guys and girls, because the sport itself, it has maybe, if you're skating in the street, it'll have a cultural bias towards maybe being thought of as a guy's sport. But when it comes to the training and the programming in these orphanages or in these programs, the girls, there's no reason why they shouldn't skate or why they can't skate. So there is a bunch, just unfortunately not part of the core that was interviewed.
Hello, my name's Alon. I'm a skateboarder from Ann Arbor, and your film got me insanely stoked. Just really awesome to see, skateboarding in that part of the world. I wanted to ask if you have any plans on returning, or if so, are you planning on bringing like any skateboarding, like hard goods or any product?
I don't plan on going to Palestine anytime soon, at least plan-wise. I'm actually going to Lebanon this summer in SOS. Skate Aid, which was one of the organizations, is building a skate park in Beirut for Syrian refugees. So it's very similar subject, just in a different location. But in terms of giving the gear, I know Skate Pal is great. Like they're a Scottish-based organization, and they are linked with so many skate parks and organizations in Scotland where they have skate events and kind of fundraisers to give the skateboards and stuff. I can link you up with them in terms of gear, if that's what you're asking, but they're always looking for helping hands, for volunteers if any of you skateboard, even if you don't, and want to just go to Palestine and help with these kids and maybe even just orient some classes. They're like way more than open to doing that.
Yeah, I would definitely also if you have contacts at Skate Aid too. When are you going to Lebanon?
I'm supposed to go for Arabic, but I just know that they're going to build one in Beirut, and if you speak Arabic, they'll let you in on board any day of the week. But I think it's supposed to be May into August.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
Hi, the one thing about your film that stands out for me is the huge sense of freedom that these kids are feeling in an imprisoned situation. And it's really very exciting to see that, because, I don't know how else they could deal with things other than that. I know most skateboarders feel the same way even here. It's there's some sense of power and freedom and so forth, so it's good to see. Thank you for producing it.
No problem, thank you. But that's right. So when I was in Birzeit studying Arabic and I was speaking to these kids, that's the sense that I got from them. The way that they would explain, like for me, skateboarding was always this outlet for me. Like you saw the video clips of me as a 9-year-old. It was just, I'm done with school, I'm going to be skateboarding until my parents yell at me to come inside and do my homework. For them, it's similar in that aspect where they use it as just a self-relief, but it's also kind of the freedom aspect where they feel empowered, they feel like they're a community, they feel sort of as their own entity in this pocketed kind of imprisoned society. So for them, it's their outlet in such a degree that there's no stopping them in that sense. And you could see even like the 7-year-old kid who said, it's my new hobby, it's my new outlet. And then the older kids who use it as this sort of, instead of throwing rocks and getting into a violent demonstration, I'm going to resist in a different way. I'm going to be skating on the streets, So it's correct in that sense. And that's what really captivated me. It was the dichotomy between how I used skateboarding as a kid, as a self-relief mechanism, and then seeing them use it in such a completely different way, such a completely different venue, but it was the same basic 4 wheels and a skateboard.
Hey.
I just kind of wanted to ask, I'm just kind of learning about skating in general, and that's just here. Why do you think, could you explain a little bit why skating is, why is skating on the street an act of rebellion against the Israelis? Do they not, the Israeli occupation, do they not like it to a degree? Is it just, could you explain that a little bit more?
I think for the skaters, they know that just skateboarding, there's no way to get a skateboard, right? Like they have to go through so much means to even just procure a skateboard. And then once they procure a skateboard, they have all these pressures on their life to A, go to demonstrations, or B, sit and just submit to like the occupation. But for them, they're saying like, forget that. Like, I'm gonna skate. You're not gonna orient my life and tell me that no, I have to sit here or go to this demonstration. You know, I'm gonna skate. I'm gonna put it online. I'm gonna have the world see it. I'm gonna talk about it, and I'm gonna non-violently resist the life that I'm put in and try to live a more normal life that I cannot live without this tool that they're using, which would be skateboarding.
Okay, hey. I really liked your film. It was outstanding.
Thank you.
It was really inspiring. I grew up skating street in Ann Arbor before we had our nice skate park, and something that I was really curious about is what's the cultural attitude towards skateboarding there? Like when you went to Skate Street, did you get kicked out a lot? Did you get
No.
Wow? Okay,
It's
that's
the opposite.
Okay.
In the U.S., when you're skating like street, which is just like a random venue or like a stair set, you know, you have like 7 minutes before the security guards come out and kick you out. In Palestine, you skate a place for like 45 an hour, the security guard will come out and start videotaping you, putting it on Facebook. They'll get a crowd coming, and then they're like, okay, yellow, like, let me try it. They'll have like a 6-year-old kid want to try it on this skateboard, a 72-year-old guy want to stand on it. So it's the complete opposite. Because it's so new, they just want to know what it is in the first place, and then once they see what it is, they want to try it, and once they try it, they're like hooked. So it has no cultural, in the US, it's like, you're a badass rebel if you skate, like get off the property. Over there, it's like, we need to learn all about it right now. I want to try it. I'm like 65 years old. It doesn't even matter.
That's
So it's awesome. It was awesome. And like I came back to the US and it kind of sucks because like there's so many skaters in the US and they're so good. And I stopped skating for like a nice 4-year gap when I was an undergrad. And then I went to Palestine, and I'm like the Tony Hawk of Palestine because I don't videotape them. And then, you know, I come back to the U.S. and there's 14-year-old kids that are like destroying me, and I'm just like, oh, I'm just skating in Palestine so much.
So another follow-up question I had was, I read somewhere that it's illegal to bring in skateboards. Is that true? Or?
I don't think it's
Okay.
illegal. So I go into Jordan because I have a whole wheel, which means that I can't find it till a beach, so I have to take a long route. And every time I like open my bag, they'll like look at the skateboard and just be like, "What is he doing? Why is he bringing this?" But they don't they don't question me about it or anything. I think they're just confused. But it's not illegal then. It's just impossible to find them. There's no skate shops.
So what are some of the barriers in place to getting a skate shop open? Like, I can imagine it would be really difficult.
I think probably just getting the gear. Any sort of object you want to import has to go through regulations and strictures that probably immensely harder there than here, obviously. Skate Aid and Skate Pal are the wonderful organizations that will give 40, 50 boards to these venues, and like, we just open up a skate park. We don't want to just open up a skate park and leave. We're going to open up a skate park, bring 50 skateboards, bring international volunteers, and kind of get stuff moving. So, I mean, in terms of capacity, they're really trying to get the culture and the community in, and then kind of just funnel skateboards through whatever means they have. So international volunteers will come, they'll bring 3 skateboards with them. Like before I left, I wasn't gonna bring my skateboard back with me, I just gave it to one of the kids. So for them, it's always, they're depending on the outside world. And now, since there's no skate park, I think they're still dependent on it, but they have avenues and mediums to kind of just get the basic stuff. Or they travel to Jordan, which is what they were saying. So they'll make the 3-day hike to go to Jordan and Amman to pay them, you know, insane amount of money for a skateboard and come back.
Cool, thanks.
Hi, I thought it was interesting, one of the kids mentioned other skater friends that he knows in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv, and I'm wondering what you think about the potential of, like, using other sports, that there's been programs bringing Israeli kids, Palestinian kids together, helping them know each other,
Yeah.
kind of build some bridges that way, and if you think there's good potential for that with skateboarding.
I think there is. I mean, Israel has like a really, really big skate scene. So when the kid mentioned that he's from Kalkilia, so he crosses one of the Kalkilia borders to enter into Tel Aviv and some of the other cities. And for him, he was never put in a program to meet these skaters. He just like randomly met them maybe at a skate park or something. Like if you had the opportunity to enter he would be skateboarding and he would randomly meet these people and he befriended them and would skate with them. And I think what he mentioned was that it brings people together. It's a sort of, you're a skater community, you might have individual differences, but if you go to a skate park, you don't have to know somebody for them to be your friend. If you go to a skate park and see somebody land a really cool trick, you give them like a slap on, you give them a high five and say that was like awesome, right? So I think it has that sort of power. I don't know on the Israeli end if they're open to letting Palestinians come in and skate. I can't talk on that behalf, but I think it is. I mean, after I premiered my documentary, even one of the Israeli skate shops in Jerusalem said like, yo, we're trying to help out. Like, how can we give skateboards to SkatePal to, you know, to kind of bolster this idea? So I think as skateboarders are far removed from the politics of everything. Like, and if you watch that documentary, I didn't mention politics. I didn't mention sort of the trigger words you would think of when it's a Palestinian or Israeli-oriented film. So I think skateboarding is powerful in that sense. It's apolitical, and it's kind of able to build this community and this kind of sharing of ideas and kind of thing.
Hello. I was just wondering what you knew about the skate community throughout the rest of the Middle East. You mentioned that you get a lot of the boards from Jordan. What does it look like over there? Other parts of the Middle East. I know some friends of mine were from Yemen who are skating over there. In general, just what does the skate community look like in the Middle East right now?
Yeah. So it's all pretty new. I mean, there's no, when you think of the U.S. skate scene, you think of like California as being like the birthplace of skateboarding. In the Middle East, I think there's just pockets of these little skate scenes. So I know in Amman in Jordan, they just built a new skate park called Seven Hills, and it has a lot of good reception. A lot of kids are skating. In Lebanon, they're building this skate park. I don't know if there is an actual skate scene there, but I know that they're building a skate park for the same kind of reasons. It's new though, and you can tell by when they see a skateboard, it honestly looks alien to them. They have no idea what it is. And I'm 100% Palestinian, I speak Palestinian Arabic. They'll see me and act like as if I'm an alien, you know? They won't even like realize that I'm Palestinian, and I'll speak Arabic to them and they'll be like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, what's happening? Where are you from? What is that? How did you get that? So it's interesting to see something so new and how captivating it is, and I think that's part of what's really important about skateboarding. You don't have to push it on the people. They're already interested and they're already willing to skate. So yeah, it's new though.
Thank you. Should we give him a hand? Yes, thank you.
Do you ever see any threat to that in Palestine, that there possibly may be some shutdown of that, at least access to boards? Because, like I said, that is really a freedom issue, and they get the freedom. And if, in a way, Palestine has all these walls, it's really, in some sense, to depress the population. And do you ever see any threat to that, permitting that over joyful sense of freedom?
Are you saying like not allowing skateboards in?
Yeah. Or
I don't know if the IDF realizes it's a form of nonviolent resistance. I think for the Palestinians that skate, it's all internal. They're not using it to like aggravate. But I don't. I mean, it's such a beautiful way for the kids to feel free that I don't think it would threaten. I mean, maybe internally it could threaten the idea, but I don't think it actually threatens it enough to say stop. You know, they're not throwing rocks. They're not doing anything that's dangerous other than to themselves if they fall or sprain or anything. But I don't see that, and it's still so new. Like and the beauty of it being so new is that you build a new skate park and it's 25% of the new skate scene, right? You build a new skate park in Annapolis, there's 4 skate parks. They're building a new skate park in Zimbabwe, that's like 5 skate parks. So it's so new and it's getting so much momentum and push that that is a beautiful thing, and I can't see it being seen as this sort of aggravation.
Not to be too much of a downer, but a group of us who are Palestinian rights activists are hoping to sponsor a movie. It's called The Wanted 18.
Yeah.
And if we're able to do it, it'll be in a couple months at the Michigan Theater. We're still checking it out. But in the 1980s, villagers somehow managed to get a bunch of cows, 18 cows, and after a while Israel found out they had these cows and they didn't need to use Israeli food and you know, they weren't dependent on Israel anymore. And so they just declared those cows a breach to Israeli security. And they ended up chasing the cows. That's what the movie's all about. So, I don't know, to me, it may sound cynical, but I think just the mere fact that the Palestinians looked happy could be enough to upset them.
I mean, I hope it doesn't come to that, and if it does, I think it'll skate away. They're good.
All right, I think that's all the time we have for the Q&A. Please give another round of applause for